for Iran, and it could force Iran to widen the conflict by spreading the war to the Middle East, as I shall recount in detail later. For the time being, this has been the Israeli strategy: precision strikes, standoff strikes, and they have been fairly successful. Iran has retaliated by firing off its hypersonic ballistic missiles, and these have managed to penetrate the layered air defenses of Israel's Iron Dome. Right? The Iron Dome, as this is a layered air defense of 4 layers. The closest layer is the Iron Dome itself, 50 to 60 kilometers, normally used against rockets and mortar bombs and things like that, which is a tactical in-house defense. Then comes the David Sling, which is medium range.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Wednesday edition of This Is Exclusive with me, Shavin Sen. For the longest time, it was a shadow war between Israel and Iran. Now it's turned out to be a wider conflict. How exactly will this really settle, or will it settle at all? Tonight on This Is Exclusive, only Indian News Network getting you reports from both sides, Iran as well as Israel. Our top focus on the wider conflict between Iran and Israel. But up first, let me take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei warns Trump government, says there will be irreparable consequences if United States of America intervenes in the West Asia conflict, and that he will not surrender. Israel confirms the complete destruction of the Kermanshah air base in western Iran amid Israel and Iran trading airstrikes for a 6th consecutive day. Republic continues live and exclusive coverage from Israel, the only channel with extensive ground report from both the countries. Prime Minister Modi arrives in Croatia, received by Prime Minister of Croatia. PM meets and greets with members of the Indian diaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, in the past 12 hours, the Israel-Iran conflict has escalated to one of its most dangerous points. Yet, with Israeli forces launching a wave of targeted airstrikes across Iran, hitting military depots as well as military installations, Iran has responded swiftly and forcefully, firing a fresh barrage of missiles and drones at major Israeli cities including Tel Aviv and Haifa, with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claiming the use of hypersonic missiles Fatah for the first time in the conflict. And now we have a possible third entrant to the West Asia conflict. US President Donald Trump has demanded Iran's quote-unquote unconditional surrender, a statement that has been sharply rejected by Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, who warned of irreparable damage should the US intervene directly. Now, with both nations digging in and international diplomatic efforts faltering, the world watches anxiously as fears of a broader regional war looms larger by the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, we have captured each and every moment coming in from Israel as well as Iran in the last 24 hours. In fact, on your screens, these are images coming in from Iran. This was reported just a short while back, explosion in the Ardabil Industrial Park. In fact, I'm also going to take you through the details of the places that have been targeted by the Israeli military. In fact, a short while back, there was also an official confirmation coming in from Iran with regards to 16 locations in Israel that have also been targeted. It's a claim that has been made by the Iranians at this point in time, saying that this is a response, a retaliation to the Operation Rising Lion that has been started by Israel. In fact, on your screens right now, these are the drones that have been flying over the Kermanshah region. Kermanshah, remember, happens to be one of the targeted areas of the Israelis over the last 24 to 48 hours. Israel maintains that this is not going to end anytime soon, till the time they believe that the conflict will only be over after this elimination of the Supreme Leader. In fact, in a short while from now, we're also going to take you through some breaking news coming in from Israel at this point in time, with a confirmation coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces with regards to an attack that was carried out just a short while back. In fact, we're also given to understand that sirens are going on as a hostile aircraft infiltration that was sounded just a short while back in southern Golan Heights. A UAV was launched from Iran and it is intercepted by the Israeli Air Force. Now, it turns out the defense minister has now confirmed that Air Force jets have destroyed the Iranian regime's internal security headquarters. That's the Iranian center. In fact, on your screens right now, these are the Fatah missiles that have been launched by the Iranians. So this is a recap of what has basically happened in the last 24 hours, with Iran saying that they have also launched the hypersonic missiles, and they say there is much more, and Israel should be prepared for a surprise. Now, that's what the Iranians have to say. Well, in fact, let me take you through the latest visuals that have been put out by the Israeli Defense Minister. They have now confirmed that Iran's internal security headquarters, which is the regime's main arm of repression, has been destroyed. In fact, this is how they address it. It's the main arm of repression, as what the Israelis say. On your screens right now, these are the latest images that have been accessed by Republic TV from Republic reporters on the ground. In fact, these are visuals coming in from Tehran, and the confirmation coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces, where they have confirmed that one of the headquarters in Tehran has now been attacked. These are the latest images now coming in. They've also gone a step ahead by confirming the fact that they have also been able to intercept a few missiles that have been launched by the Iranians. Let me also take you through another visual that's coming in. Now, this is a video that has been released by the Iranian embassy here in the national capital of what they say a strike at the Weizmann Institute. Remember, this is where some of the nuclear scientists, Israeli nuclear scientists, have been operating. We're given to understand that there are no casualties, but what you see on your screens right now, this is what Iranians have to say, that they have launched a ballistic missile, and this was in response to some of the nuclear sites that have been targeted by the Israelis, and that is the reason why they have now targeted the Weizmann Institute. In a short while from now, we also have a reporter who would be joining us. In fact, he would also be speaking to some of the reporters, some of those who've been studying in this particular institute. Ladies and gentlemen, as missile sirens continue to pierce the skies over Tel Aviv, civilian life in the city has been turned upside down. Schools are shut, businesses are operating in crisis mode, families are spending nights in bomb shelters. The once bustling streets of Israel's commercial capital are now marked by fear, uncertainty, and a constant readiness for the next strike. We bring you an explosive ground report showing how residents have had to flee the places they call homes, while buildings in one busy towns stand deserted.
In Israel, in Tel Aviv, and you can see that now it is closed. Nobody can go inside. Here are the residents of this area, and they are trying to understand where should they go after they have been evacuated, because as you can see, everything is destroyed. You can see inside the buildings, this was an apartment of somebody. It is completely devastated. As the house, you can see here inside, the devastation is immersing. everything is completely destroyed. Windows are broken, also some of the walls, all the stuff inside of the houses, apartments, also burned, destroyed. You can see how much of the destruction caused just one missile from Iran. And here usually used to live young people, Israelis that are coming from all around the country because they want to live in this amazing non-stop city of Tel Aviv next to the beach. The beach is just a few minutes walk from here, the Mediterranean Sea, but now this site is completely destroyed. Nothing could survive this blast of Iranian ballistic missile. You can see the destruction, all of those buildings. In each of them there are many apartments, many people lived here, and everything is destroyed. You can see here there are balloons with gas that also could explode, and if it explodes then the damage will be of course much higher. And the buildings here completely destroyed, you can see it yourself. And then now the municipality of Tel Aviv would need to destroy those buildings and build the new ones. And here I'm standing on the place where the ballistic missile from Iran actually hit. It hit now this parking lot, but the shock wave destroyed everything in a radius of hundreds of meters. You can see the impact of this blast. And if those kind of rockets hit the buildings themselves, then of course nothing can survive inside the building and not next to it. This is a residential area. There are no military targets here. There are nothing here except of people that are living here, their life, innocent people that have nothing to do with this conflict between Iran and Israel. Maybe the target of the rocket was this building, because inside at least used to be the consulate of the United States of America and some of the offices of the Embassy of America. And actually the impact of this blast also hit a little bit even the embassy, which is hundreds of meters from here, the main building of the embassy. And you can see the impact. It is just unbelievable. Now I'm standing on the floor, on the ground, under which used to be a construction of an underground metro station, and that's why Israeli security forces, rescue forces, told me that all of this place can collapse because of the impact of the blast. And this is just one neighborhood that was almost completely destroyed, and there are many more neighborhoods like this one, residential areas that also were the targets of the Iranian ballistic missiles. And in all of those places there are a lot of destruction. People are killed, injured, and all of their homes and stuff is lost, as you can see here behind me.
Well, in fact, I'm going to now take you through some of the visuals that we have accessed from the Iranian embassy. Iranian embassy basically now claims here in the national capital that they have carried out an attack in Israel and targeted the Weizmann Institute. They say that this is a response to the nuclear facilities that have been targeted and medical institutions that have been targeted in Iran. They say that there's been casualties that have taken place in Weizmann Institute. Now, this is the picture that has been put across by the Iranians, stating that ballistic missiles were basically fired. And as you can see from this particular video, they are once again clearly indicating that Weizmann Institute has been targeted. In fact, they have now put out stating that 16 places have been targeted in Israel. In fact, one of it basically happens to be the Weizmann Institute. In a short while from now, Republic reporter Ratnadeep Chaudhary, in fact, Ratnadeep Chakraborty is currently with a student from Weizmann Institute. Ratnadeep, I've just put out a video of what the Iranians say that Weizmann Institute was basically targeted. I believe you are with one such student who is been studying there in Weizmann.
Yes, I'm currently joined by an Indian student. His name is Sarthaki. He was a student of one of the same labs which was targeted by one of the Iranian missiles which fell and destroyed the lab. And I would want to take it forward to him, and I would let him describe what he feels, what he has seen, and how much of the lab is destroyed and what remains.
So no, I'm not a student where the lab is destroyed. It's like the lab which one was destroyed. It's like far from my lab. It's like it's 200 to 300 meter away from my lab. And but where I worked, that building was not completely damaged, but it is partially affected because of shock wave, and few lab of this building is quite affected. Like basically few instruments has been damaged. That's all.
And what about the lab that is been shown here? One of the labs that was completely destroyed. How much of that is remaining right now?
That I don't know completely, but I heard that it was like 50-60% is completely damaged.
Okay, so as we can see that one of the labs that he's talking about is at least 60% damaged. I have also seen a lot of information coming about with professors who are working in the labs who are saying this years of research work has gone into waste because the lab has mostly been damaged. Would you want to share of how you feel when someone's research work which has been worked upon, because you're also a researcher here, how does that feel actually?
It's very difficult to be calm with these situations, but it is what it is, but have to expect what happened.
And let me just say one last thing and ask him before I hand it over to you, that in no way this was a military target, right? This is just a civilian infrastructure, educational institute. Nowhere it was a military building.
Yes, it's not. It's like an educational institute, nothing else. Like many people who work there, it's like educational institute completely. It's not like a military.
So that's what I've been trying to say even yesterday as well, that the Iranians have attacked time and again places which are not military infrastructure, not military structures, but actually civilian buildings, educational buildings in all over Israel.
Quick question before I move on with the other story that we're coming up with, but the significance of this institute itself, the fact that the Iranians are now putting out a full-fledged video where they're saying the Weizmann Institute has been targeted. Just for the benefit of our viewers, what's this institute all about and why this has now been singled out by the Iranians?
Well, he was a student. I would actually allow him to talk more about it, but it's one of the most premier science institution in the country, has been one of the one institute which have produced a lot of premier innovation and technology when it comes to the cutting-edge technology that has been produced. It is also one of those only places initially when a nuclear reactor and nuclear research was actually been installed. Could you want to take a little more forward from there?
Yeah, it's like a premier institute in Israel, and many people are doing very good research there. That's all I can say. It's like a very popular institute.
And somewhere down the line, this actually shows when Israel took down the nuclear scientists in Iran. This is somewhat of a retaliation to take down also the best institutions here in Israel.
Well, thank you very much, Ratnadeep, Republic reporter, getting us that first report from Weizmann Institute's student. Thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, our reporter on the ground also spoke to the former Israeli Prime Minister. In fact, it's a classic example of how the coalition government of Netanyahu is also getting support from the others. Listen in to what Naftali Bennett had to tell my colleague a short while back.
I want to be very clear. This is not a war between Israel and the good Iranian people. The Israelis feel for the Iranian people. The Iranian people are under a terrible regime, an old regime, incompetent, corrupt, radical, violent regime that beyond endangering the world is making the lives of the Iranians horrible. I call upon the Iranian people, this is your moment. This is your moment to stand up, to remove the mullahs if you can, and the world will stand behind you. I also want to say this is a moment where if we didn't act now, the cancerous tumor of Iranian nuclear program would be much worse in a year or 2 years. What you see here, 70 buildings that are hit, would have been hit by a nuclear weapon, so we have to act now. And finally, to our friends and other decent-minded countries around the world, we are doing the dirty work for the world. We are the ones who are removing and preventing Iran from going nuclear. We are preventing Iran from being a danger to the world. If we didn't act now, Paris and London and Washington in 2030 would receive a nuclear warhead. So we're not asking anyone to fight for us. We're doing the fight. We're willing to pay the price. We are asking, have our back. Don't criticize us. Back us. We're doing the right thing.
Well, that's all that we could pack in this edition of This is the Exclusive. Coming up, trending with my colleague Rakshita.
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
Hi, this is Chef Ranveer Brar. Guarantee you brilliance on behalf of IAHM.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
प्रधानमंत्री मोदी और राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की मुलाकात G7 समिट की साइडलाइंस पर होनी तय थी। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को जल्दी वापस अमेरिका लौटना पड़ा, जिसके कारण ये मुलाकात नहीं हो पाई। इसके बाद राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के आग्रह पर आज दोनों लीडर्स की फोन पर बात हुई। बातचीत लगभग 35 मिनट चली। 22 अप्रैल को पहलगाम आतंकी हमले के बाद राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने फोन पर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को शोक संवेदना प्रकट की थी और आतंक के खिलाफ समर्थन व्यक्त किया था। उसके बाद दोनों लीडर्स की ये पहली बातचीत थी। इसलिए प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप से ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के बारे में विस्तार से बात की। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को स्पष्ट रूप से कहा कि 22 अप्रैल के बाद भारत ने आतंकवाद के खिलाफ कार्रवाई करने का अपना दृढ़ संकल्प पूरी दुनिया को बता दिया था। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने कहा कि 6-7 मई की रात को भारत ने पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तान ऑक्यूपाइड कश्मीर में सिर्फ आतंकी ठिकानों को ही निशाना बनाया था। भारत के एक्शन बहुत ही मेजर्ड, प्रिसाइज और नॉन एस्केलेटरी थे। साथ ही भारत ने यह भी स्पष्ट कर दिया था कि पाकिस्तान की गोली का जवाब भारत गोले से देगा। 9 मई की रात को उपराष्ट्रपति वैंस ने प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को फोन किया था। उपराष्ट्रपति वैंस ने कहा था कि पाकिस्तान भारत पर बड़ा हमला कर सकता है। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने उन्हें साफ शब्दों में बताया था कि यदि ऐसा होता है तो भारत पाकिस्तान को उससे भी बड़ा जवाब देगा। 9-10 मई की रात को पाकिस्तान के हमले का भारत ने बहुत सशक्त जवाब दिया और पाकिस्तान की सेना को बहुत नुकसान पहुंचाया। उसके मिलिट्री एयर बेसिस को इनऑपरेबल बना दिया। भारत के मुंहतोड़ जवाब के कारण पाकिस्तान को भारत से सैन्य कार्रवाई रोकने का आग्रह करना पड़ा। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को स्पष्ट रूप से कहा कि इस पूरे घटनाक्रम के दौरान कभी भी किसी भी स्तर पर भारत अमेरिका ट्रेड डील या अमेरिका द्वारा भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच मध्यस्थता जैसे विषयों पर बात नहीं हुई थी। सैन्य कार्रवाई रोकने की बात सीधे भारत और पाकिस्तान के बीच दोनों सेनाओं की एग्जिस्टिंग चैनल्स के माध्यम से हुई थी और पाकिस्तान के ही आग्रह पर हुई थी। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने जोर देकर कहा कि भारत ने न तो कभी मध्यस्थता स्वीकार की थी, न करता है और न ही कभी करेगा। इस विषय पर भारत में पूर्ण रूप से राजनीतिक एकमत है। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने प्रधानमंत्री द्वारा विस्तार में बताई गई बातों को समझा और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भारत की लड़ाई के प्रति समर्थन व्यक्त किया। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने यह भी कहा कि भारत अब आतंकवाद को प्रॉक्सी वॉर नहीं, युद्ध के रूप में ही देखता है और भारत का ऑपरेशन सिंदूर अभी भी जारी है। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने प्रधानमंत्री मोदी से पूछा कि क्या वे कनाडा से वापसी में अमेरिका रुक कर जा सकते हैं। पूर्व निर्धारित कार्यक्रमों के कारण प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने अपनी असमर्थता व्यक्त की। दोनों लीडर्स ने तब तय किया कि वे निकट भविष्य में मिलने का प्रयास करेंगे। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने इजरायल ईरान के बीच चल रहे संघर्ष पर भी चर्चा की। रूस यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट पर दोनों ने सहमति जताई कि जल्द से जल्द शांति के लिए दोनों पक्षों में सीधी बातचीत आवश्यक है और इसके लिए प्रयास करते रहना चाहिए। इंडो पैसिफिक क्षेत्र के संबंध में दोनों नेताओं ने अपने परिप्रेक्ष्य साझा किए और इस क्षेत्र में क्वाड की अहम भूमिका के प्रति समर्थन जताया। क्वाड की अगली बैठक के लिए प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप को भारत यात्रा का निमंत्रण दिया। राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने निमंत्रण स्वीकार करते हुए कहा कि वे भारत आने के लिए उत्सुक हैं।
The Iran-Israel conflict has flared up in earnest. What we saw initially was the good cop, bad cop routine in which the United States was playing the good cop by engaging Iran in talks, and all the while Israel was giving threats of taking military action, strong military action to destroy the nascent Iranian nuclear capability. In fact, this good cop, bad cop routine was used to achieve surprise. Iran thought that one day before the talks were scheduled between America and Iran, Israel would not strike, but it did, and it caught a lot of the top Iranian military leadership together huddled in conferences, etc., and was able to do a fair amount of damage. So far, what has the Israeli strategy been? The Israeli strategy has been to carry out a surgical strike.
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
आपकी फेवरेट हुंडई कार्स पर मिल रही है अमेजिंग डील्स। वैसे लोगे तो आप हुंडई ही, चाहे दिल की सुनो या डील्स की, तो जल्दी चले आओ हुंडई शोरूम।
विमल में गुलिस्तां के ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुलें तो जी लग जाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की जुबान में खुद को ऐसे डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं। विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं? विमल, बोलो जुबान कैसी?
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
You just posted right before we took off that you're not leaving because of a ceasefire. Why are you? Can you elaborate?
Get better than ceasefire. We're not looking for a ceasefire. I didn't say I was looking for a ceasefire. That was Emmanuel, nice guy, but he doesn't get it right too often. But we're not looking. We're looking for better than a ceasefire.
What specifically is better than a ceasefire? What are you looking for here?
An end. a real end, not a ceasefire, an end.
So something that will be permanent.
Or giving up entirely. That's okay too.
Are you close there? Is that possible in the next 24?
Why not? Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible, yeah. Doing pretty well. Right now we're doing pretty well. Remember, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. We don't have to go too deep into it. They just can't have a nuclear weapon.
What was the thinking on the call for Tehran to evacuate? Is there a threat or is there incoming? What was the thinking on the full evacuation?
I want people to be safe. And that's always possible. A thing like that could happen. I just want people to be safe. We have great people that know how to protect themselves.
And when you say better, what?
Oh, we'll come down so hard if they do anything to our people. We'll come down so hard. Then
From your phones to your smart television, the trending stories are breaking the internet. Iran remains defiant despite the military onslaught of Israel, and United States unmissable warning. Meanwhile, we'll get you all the viral moments from the G7 summit in Canada that has got the internet talking and also laughing. Not just this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has set the record straight in a telephonic conversation with Donald Trump. His message is loud and clear: no intervention needed. We'll get you all this and more in this power-packed edition of Trending. I'm Rakta Mishra. West Asia continues to teeter on the edge, with both Iran and Israel trading barrage of missiles and strikes in the early hours of Wednesday. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that is the IRGC, claims to have launched advanced Fateh-1 hypersonic missile at Israel. Not taking the onslaught lying down, Israel's Air Force has responded with calculated precision and power, carrying out multiple airstrikes on the Iranian military facilities. That includes weapon production sites and key infrastructure. Now, earlier today, Iran also claimed that it has arrested a Mossad agent, the Israeli spy agency agent. Watch this video, how dramatically this man is pinned down on the ground and he's arrested. Meanwhile, staying true to its reputation, Israel's military has systematically destroyed key Iranian military assets, nuclear enrichment sites, the missile production facilities, and also terror-linked infrastructure. And as part of its anti-terror operations, the Israeli Defense Forces have identified a Hamas terrorist cell advancing towards them from the direction of the Kafar Jabalia. So in coordination with the Israeli Air Force aircraft and the brigade's firepower coordination unit, the soldiers eliminated the terror cell. Watch this. Israel continues with its aerial onslaught now. In the recent update, Israeli airstrikes have targeted the Aviation neighborhood in northeast Tehran, viewers. This after Iranian Supreme Leader has addressed, and now reportedly he is hiding over there. Look at the visuals. So as tensions continue to simmer, the United States has firmly backed Israel, with President Donald Trump demanding Iran's unconditional surrender. In fact, Donald Trump is right now speaking as we speak. Just take a live tip on that.
Less than a week, maybe less. But is there anybody here that said it would be okay to have a hostile, very, zealots really, but to have a hostile country have a nuclear weapon that could destroy 25 miles, but much more than that, could destroy other nations just by the breeze blowing the dust. That dust blows to other nations and they get decimated. This is just not a threat you can have. And we've been threatened by Iran for many years. If you go back and look at my history, if you go back 15 years, I was saying we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time, and I mean it more now than I ever meant it. Yeah.
Mr. President, a question on deportations, Mr. President. You said last week that changes would be coming for farmers who have seen a lot of the workers they rely on taken away. But then DHS said this week that worksite enforcement would remain in place, that it's a cornerstone. So what's your message to farmers?
We got to get the bad people out of here first, and we're doing that. We're taking them out by the thousands. Murderers, drug dealers, people that are mentally insane from insane asylums. What they gave to us, fellas, they gave. Oh, do we have anybody in here that's a member of the? No, I don't think so. You've known all these people for a long time. Any illegal immigrants in here now? If they were, they'll find out about them.
Right.
They'll be checking you. You won't believe. Your whole life will be destroyed because of this press conference. Watch. They'll destroy these people. I didn't want to tell them that before this stood up. They'll end up being he's a so-and-so. This one is from you know where. Don't worry. I think you're going to be okay.
Sure.
I'll be right behind you. Far behind you. I'll be right behind you. Now look, we have to take care of our farmers. We have to take care of people that run leisure hotels. I mean, we have to take care of them. But most importantly, we have to get the criminals out of our country. And Biden let in thousands and 11,888 murderers. Many of them murdered more than one person. Can you believe it? Almost 50% of them murdered more than one person. He let them into our country. They emptied out the jails of countries from all over the world, from the Congo, from Venezuela.
All right, I'm joined by Rabinder Sachdeva, the co-founder and the director of US-India Political Action Committee, live on the broadcast from Washington, D.C. Mr. Sachdeva, thanks so much for joining us on Republic TV. Now, clearly, Trump had made it very evident that it is right now not intending to attack Ayatollah Khamenei. However, he said that it's just for now. At the same time, he writes in capital letters, surrender, unconditional surrender, to which we see the backlash that has come in from Iran. Where do you think this is going? Because there's a lot of speculation, a lot of curiosity about what United States is going to do and how could it just all blow up.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be with you. Of course, none of us knows what goes on in the mind of any leader when he's taking a key decision. But I think all trend lines point my speculation would be that the US will go along and the US will go along with Israel to the extent of it will bomb the Fordow nuclear facility with its P-2 aircrafts carrying those bunker buster bombs. US may not get involved more militarily in offense. In offense, that's the only thing it will do, which itself is huge. In any case, regarding defense, American and NATO air defense systems are protecting Israel with regards to the missiles that Iran is shooting out there, right? So that's already happening there in terms of defense. But now I think the critical question is that would the US go on the offense? As you heard Trump right now, and it seems to me that more or less he has decided that he will go ahead with this bombing of the facility. That's one. And also remember, it is a once in a lifetime, not only once in a lifetime, it is an opportunity, not an opportunity, I would say, but an occasion for Netanyahu and Israel to eliminate the perpetual dangers of a nuclear weapon state in the Middle East. Such a situation or occasion will never come again. Point is, if right now, let's say there is a quote-unquote a ceasefire. Sure, there's been sufficient damage apparently done to the Iranian nuclear facilities at some other location, Natanz. But that sets back Iran's program by, let's say, 5 years or 10 years. It will still be able to rebuild. The idea, I think, this time around, which is gaining currency in America, in Trump's mind, and yes, Trump's advisors also split. Actually, one bunch of his MAGA advisors say absolutely no going in. But on the other hand, another bunch of his advisors are saying it's for the Western civilization. For Israel, we have to go and do it now. I think he's leaning towards going in. And in the coming days or hours or days, we might see a US attack on the facility. That's only the bombing of the nuclear facility. Of course, no troops on ground, forget all of that.
Yes.
But that's what all Israel needs right now, that US step up with these bunker buster bombs and demolish to the extent or fully the Fordow nuclear facility.
Right, Mr. Rabinder Sachdev, thanks so much for joining us on Republic TV, viewers. So we continue to get you more insights and more expert takes on that, viewers. We also have Major Samar Patur, who is the modern warfare expert, defense expert, joining us on the broadcast. Major, thanks so much and good evening. Now all eyes are on what could be next in this. What Khamenei, because he has, made a very strong statement. He has gone on to even warn United States that there will be irreparable damage to United States. Now, what really happens, what really happens if Khamenei is actually taken out by United States? What would be next? Because we've seen Israel talking about why it is necessary for Iran to be stopped from making nuclear weapons, and also the removal of the Iranian regime, the current regime.
See, Rakshita, as far as the present scenario is concerned, there are rumors that Khamenei has left Iran and he has taken a refuge in either of the countries.
I would like to interrupt you. We'll just take a listen into once again what Trump is saying right now on Iran.
Countries. I got it stopped. I don't think I had one story. Did I have one story written about? I stopped a war between two major nations, major nuclear nations. I don't think I had a story written about it, but that's okay. You know why? The people know. The people know. Did anybody write that story about the war? Did you write it? Oh, did you write it? You wrote it.
These brothers have asked you to get more adjustments that need to be made for Marine One departures and arrivals.
No, we put it so that Marine One is very far away. We did it in conjunction with the Air Force, with everybody, and everybody signed off on it. Now we have to have it far away. It's very far from Marine One's out there. It's out in the field. So you have to have a certain distance. We're about 3 times that distance. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Are you sure what you told Prime Minister Netanyahu about getting involved?
There you have Donald Trump there, live reaction coming in, live statement coming in of Donald Trump there. He's talking about how he has stopped a war. Okay, he's spoken on Pakistan also. He is saying he has stopped 2 wars. Major Tur, I would go across to you on this. He's again, raking up Pakistan. He talks about 2 countries, 2 nuclear countries, how he has stopped the war. But, this is Donald Trump. Classic Donald Trump continues to, thump his chest, boast about, even after India has made it very clear, Prime Minister Modi has made it very clear, setting the record straight.
Rakshita, see, even today in the conversation with President Trump and Prime Minister Modi again said that, it was not by any third party's intervention that the ceasefire was called in. It was in the interest of India itself, that there had to be an agreement in terms of the ceasefire. And moreover, after Operation Sindoor, the first part of Operation Sindoor, which I still consider that Operation Sindoor is still on, what I would say is emphasizes that, you see, with intelligence reports coming in about the Kirana Hills and the entry and exit points of the nuclear facilities blocked for a very long period of time because of the damage it has suffered, and then the Noor Khan Air Base under the American control are what has come out in a very astonishing way to the Indian intelligence agencies.
Right.
Because no country which would 48 hours before say that they have nothing to do with the India and Pakistan conflict, after 48 hours suddenly is onto the table, running helter-skelter to get a ceasefire between the two.
Yeah.
So definitely, if we read between the lines, India had an upper edge and still has one. And you see, look at the timing of the Field Marshal Asif Muni's visit to USA. He's going to meet President Trump.
Yes.
So it is 101% very logically true that definitely there is going to be some land incursion from Pakistan into Iran, because at the moment American troops cannot afford to be exposed in Iraq, because they are vulnerable in Iraq as well. But if they are deployed or they enter Iran through the Pakistan border, which is approximately 1,000 kilometers long, then probably yes, things will pan out the American way.
Absolutely, of course.
Rakshita.
But yes, the Trump way is that he is now making a climb down, and also he is not mentioning the trade deal, very importantly here. But thanks so much, Mr. Parsoor, for joining us with your insights and your expert take on that, viewers. We shift our focus to the G7 summit. Ladies and gentlemen, the G7 summit has started in Canada, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Canada. He met French President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines, but the netizens cannot stop talking about this one particular moment. In a light-hearted moment, the two world leaders were seen sharing a chuckle after Prime Minister asked the French President, and I quote, "Nowadays you're fighting on Twitter," unquote. Take a look at this fun moment of banter between the two leaders.
Nowadays you're fighting on Twitter. Nowadays you're fighting on Twitter.
Moment has caused a split on the internet, with the netizens chuckling along with the world leaders. One ex-user has called the moment between Macron and Modi a high school boy's jab chuckle, while another has praised the Prime Minister, saying Modi ji's precision strike mode is always on. So what led to this moment, viewers? It's a digital spat that broke out between the French president and United States president over Israel-Iran diplomacy. With Trump leaving early, Macron told reporters that his exit could mean a ceasefire between Israel and Iran in the works. However, Trump soon replied back on social media site Truth Social, saying that Emmanuel is seeking publicity and has no idea why he is on his way back to Washington, D.C. The Twitterati believe that this is what the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, was insinuating in his quip with President Macron. And not just this, there are many such moments at the G7 that have gotten the netizens talking. Prime Minister Modi's intense discussion with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at the G7 also prompted conversation among the netizens. Take a look at this video. The two world leaders look very engaged in an intense conversation. And speaking of G7 and world leaders meeting, we would not be missing out to mention the moment between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. The two leaders were all smiles as they met, shaking hands, and they posed for pictures together.
I'm trying to be as you know it. Excuse me.
So Melanie telling the Prime Minister, complimenting the Prime Minister that you are the best and I'm trying to be as you. And this has gone viral on social media with the hashtag Melody trending once again. Also, Prime Minister was seen participating in the family photo taken at the G7 along with the other global leaders. Everyone in the video seemed to be in great spirits as they posed for the photo op. All right, viewers, as we come to the end of this edition, in order to promote border area tourism in the Union Territory of Ladakh, the Indian Army has conducted a mountaineering expedition to Mount Shahi Kangri and Mount Silwar Peak. The aim of this expedition is to honor the strength and valor of the Ladakhi soldiers who have sacrificed their lives during the Galwan conflict. Comprising of 28 highly skilled personnel trained in ice and rock craft, the team showcased exceptional endurance and technical prowess in high-altitude mountaineering. Flagged off on the 28th of May, the expedition was finally culminated today by Lieutenant General Hitesh Bhalla, the General Officer in command of Fire and Fury Corps. Watch these stunning visuals as I say goodbye.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. रहो बेफिक्र.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल. ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े. क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ. डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड, मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा. अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ. सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र.
MDH की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का.
MDH की देगी मिर्च.
همیهنانم جمهوری اسلامی به پایان خود رسیده و در حال سقوط است. خامنه‌ای همچون موشی هراسان زیر زمین پنهان شده و کنترل اوضاع را از دست داده است. آنچه آغاز شده برگشت ناپذیر است. آینده روشن است و ما با هم از این پیچ تند تاریخ عبور خواهیم کرد. در این روزهای دشوار دل من با همه شهروندان بی‌دفاعی است که آسیب دیدند و قربانی جنگ طلبی و توهمات خامنه‌ای شدند. من سالها کوشیدم تا میهنمان گرفتار آتش جنگ نشود. پایان جمهوری اسلامی، پایان جنگ 46 ساله آن با ملت ایران است. دستگاه سرکوب رژیم در حال فروپاشی است. تنها یک خیزش همگانی لازم است تا این کابوس برای همیشه پایان یابد. اکنون زمان ایستادن است. زمان بازپسگیری ایران. همه با هم، از بندر عباس تا بندر انزلی، از شیراز تا اصفهان، از تبریز تا زاهدان، از مشهد تا اهواز، از شهر کرد تا کرمانشاه به صحنه بیاییم. پایان این رژیم را رقم بزنیم. نگران فردای پس از سقوط جمهوری اسلامی نباشید. ایران دچار جنگ داخلی و بی‌ثباتی نخواهد شد. ما برای آینده ایران و شکوفایی‌اش برنامه داریم. ما برای 100 روز نخست پس از سقوط، دوران گذار و استقرار یک حکومت ملی و دموکراتیک برای ملت ایران و به دست ملت ایران آماده ایم. خطاب به نیروهای نظامی و انتظامی، امنیتی و دولتی که این روزها بسیاری از آنها به من پیام می‌فرستند. برای حفظ رژیمی که سقوط آن آغاز شده و حتمی است، روبروی ملت ایران نایستید. خود را فدای رژیم پوسیده نکنید. با ایستادن در کنار ملت، جان خود را حفظ کنید. در گذار از جمهوری اسلامی نقشی تاریخی ایفا کنید و در ساختن آینده ایران سهیم باشید.
Anytime, at any point, if we come to the conclusion that United States is directly involved in attacks against Iran, we will start responding to United States.
Iran's ambassador to the United Nations in Geneva says if US intervenes, Iran will respond. Fresh footage from Israel-Iran conflict show the elimination of terrorist cell in Jabalia. West Asia remains on the edge. Republic reports from damaged, destructed areas in Tel Aviv. After multiple technical snags, Air India has now ordered to reduce flight operations by 30%.
Pakistan's attempt to mischaracterize Operation Sindoor, our precise and proportionate response, as military aggression is unconscionable. When a state harbors terrorists who massacre innocents, defensive action is not just a right, it is a solemn duty.
And Indian diplomat Kshitij Tyagi slams Pakistan at UN Human Rights Council, says when a state harbors terrorists, defense action is not just a right but a solemn duty.
Co-powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप.
Hi, this is Chef Ranveer Brar. Guarantee you brilliance on behalf of IAHM.
विमल में गुलिस्तां की ये कुछ लजीज फरिश्ते जब साथ घुले तो जी ललचाए और दिल कहे कि स्वाद की इस जुबान में खुद को ऐसा डुबाऊं कि निकल ना पाऊं. विमल की जुबान कुछ है ही ऐसी, मानते हैं ना? विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध. MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा.
The Iran-Israel conflict has flared up in earnest. What we saw initially was the good cop, bad cop routine in which the United States was playing the good cop by engaging Iran in talks, and all the while Israel was giving threats of taking military action, strong military action to destroy the nascent Iranian nuclear capability. In fact, this good cop, bad cop routine was used to achieve surprise. Iran thought that one day before the talks were scheduled between America and Iran, Israel would not strike, but it did, and it caught a lot of the top Iranian military leadership together huddled in conferences, etc., and was able to do a fair amount of damage. So far, what has the Israeli strategy been? The Israeli strategy has been to carry out a surgical strike against Iran's nuclear capability, nascent nuclear capability. To that extent, it has hit Natanz, the nuclear enrichment site. It has hit many weapon fabrication laboratories and other experimental laboratories close by around Tehran complex. It has also primarily hit at command and control targets. It has eliminated a large number of Iranian senior military officials, which include the head of the IRGC, the head of the Iranian army, head of the Iranian Air Force, and their chief of intelligence. Now, these are very severe losses in terms of leadership. Command and control attrition has been highly effective to the extent that Iran has now ordered that none of its top commanders will be carrying mobiles, because they have been tracked through their mobiles and hit with great amount of precision. To start with, the Israelis had carried out massive standoff attacks with about 200 of their F-35 stealth fighters, F-15E Eagle jet fighters. These had fired cruise missiles, standoff cruise missiles, without entering Iranian territory. In the phase 1, they had carried out SEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses, in which they had knocked off the S-300 missile batteries of Iran, which have not proved very effective. Let's not forget that even in Pakistan, the S-300 equivalent, the Chinese HQ-9 and 16 were also proved to be highly ineffective. So they have suppressed Iran's air defenses, and they have now gone in a very big way to tackle the target.
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
On the show tonight, sensational details about what's going on inside Air India. You won't believe the information we've got. And at 9 o'clock tonight, will the Muslim world stand with Iran if Trump bombs it at a different level? And ladies and gentlemen, what is the responsibility of a media group at a time like this? When 270, 80, maybe 300 people have died, because the death toll could be much higher in effect. What is the responsibility of a news media group? Is it to become a PR extension of the company that is being asked questions, which is Air India, in other words, the Tatas? Or is it the responsibility of the media group to ask questions of the people? Now, I would not be surprised if the PR machinery of Air India or the Tatas goes overactive over the next few days. But the truth cannot be concealed. What Mr. Chandrasekaran of Tata Sons must answer, and I'm taking his name specifically, Mr. Chandrasekaran, what you must check is how many snags had been there in Air India Flight 171, which crashed on June 12th. Specifically, Mr. Chandrasekaran, eventually the man in charge, must tell the nation, because the nation wants to know, Mr. Chandrasekaran, how many snags were reported on the flight that crashed between May 2nd and June 6th, 2025. Tell us, Mr. Chandrasekaran, make a public disclosure of this. We would love to know. We would love to know whether it was 1 snag, 2 snags, 10 snags, 15 snags, 20 snags, or Mr. Chandrasekaran, we would like to know whether there were 29 snags. It's only a question. Don't get too worked up, Mr. Chandrasekaran. Just tell us, and we will report how many snags you had on the plane that crashed. The other question is now to the DGCA. To the DGCA, the real question must be asked is, do they get any favors from Air India? Is it true that Air India very generously gives them extra luggage? Is it true, for example, I'm only asking a question, the Minister of Civil Aviation must answer, whether anybody from his office sought 50 kilograms of extra luggage free from Air India and whether it was given? We must know this. We are only asking questions. These are only questions. These are not accusations. But is there a system of favors, small or big, between DGCA and Air India? Can both of them tell us that? Thirdly, Air India, the PR machinery of Air India must ask whether it is true, as the Wall Street Journal has reported, that there is a possibility that the emergency power generator was operating when the plane crashed, and whether this raises questions about whether the engines were functioning properly. Why was the ram air turbine, or RAT, which is like a backup generator, working? Was it working? In what circumstances did the RAT get deployed? Is it true that the RAT gets deployed when there are hydraulic system failures, when there are cockpit instruments losing power, or when there are electric motor pumps that become dysfunctional? Ladies and gentlemen, Air India must get serious, and the media must get serious with Air India. I know that a lot of PR work is happening, but I do not understand the DGCA in this country. I don't understand the central government sometimes. 66 Air India planes have been cancelled in a period June 12th to June 17th. And what is called a review of the operations of Air India and Air India Express, the press release, the statement, is essentially giving Air India a clean sheet, saying we're going to put you under a little bit more supervision. But that's all. This increases the suspicion that the DGCA is historically and will continue to be in the future also soft towards Air India. But, Mr. Chandrasekaran of Tata Sons, please tell us how many failure messages were there related to this aircraft? Were there any? If I were to ask you, and you're welcome to come on my show, but I won't give you a free run, I would just like to know how many incidents were on the plane, which is nomenclatured VT/A and B. Is this the plane which crashed? I don't know. Tell us. Is this the Dreamliner that crashed, Mr. Chandrasekaran? And how many incidents were there on that plane? Big or small? Were there 1, 5, 6, none, or 29? Or 29? Air India and Mr. Chandrasekaran, the nation doesn't just want to know, the nation will know. We want to know. Please tell us. Let's debate.
Delhi to Dubai. AI 996 Air India flight with over 200 passengers on board cancelled after reported technical snag midway. Air India 2491 Mumbai to Lucknow cancelled after boarding passengers twice and deboarding. Lack of crew causes unrest and aircraft damage. Since the fateful day of Air India AI-171 crash in Ahmedabad, 83 Air India flights have been cancelled, 66 out of them Dreamliners. At least 10 such incidents within the last 72 hours, nearly 66 in the last 6 days. Top sources tell Republic that the Directorate General of Civil Aviation has asked Air India to cut down their flight operations by 30%.
After DGCA, the regulatory body has summoned Air India and Air India Express officials yesterday to appear in front of them. Finally, a prompt strict action has been taken against Air India, where the DGCA has asked Air India to reduce their flight operation by 30%.
The only victim? Passengers.
They are at the gate. They are not boarded. They are cheating us.
और अभी तो बोर्ड कराओगे भी तो कोई फायदा है नहीं. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू बैक डाउन एंड नो साइड स्टार्ट हो गया सर.
टेक्निकल का आप 3 घंटे से टेक्निकल और पायलट की पत्थर ठोक रहे हो.
2 बार हमारी ये फ्लाइट कैंसिल हुई है और एयर इंडिया कोई जवाब नहीं देते. हम मैसेज भी करते तो इतना होल्ड होता है, हमको 15-15 मिनट होल्ड रखना पड़ता है और हमको सामने से भी अच्छा कोई रिस्पांस नहीं आता है एयर इंडिया में से. अब हम लोग अभी अगली बार से एयर इंडिया में आने वाले नहीं है.
हम इधर आए तो बता रहे थे कि फ्लाइट है वो डिले हुई है 3 आवर्स. सो हमको 1 PM की जगह 3 PM का टाइम दिया और अभी जब टाइम बोर्डिंग का आया, अंदर जाने का आया, चेक इन का टाइम आया तो वो लोग बोल रहे हैं कि अब फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो गई है. सो वो लोग अच्छे से रिफंड का भी आंसर नहीं दे रहे हैं. हम लोग कॉल सेंटर में बात कर रहे हैं, वहाँ भी कोई भी कॉल रिसीव नहीं कर रहा है.
Each and every person is giving a different reply. One is saying that there is some technical issue. The second one is saying that there is a delay in the flight to reach here from Delhi to Ahmedabad. Therefore, today takeoff is not possible, and other reasons are being stated which are not plausible.
From New Delhi to Dubai, from Mumbai to Lucknow, Air India's flight map is dotted with breakdowns. And the only ones paying the price are the passengers.
आप बताओ कि ये पायलट है उड़ाने वाला बस.
And ladies and gentlemen, what is the responsibility of a media at a time like this? The responsibility of the media is to ask questions. The responsibility of the media is not to provide a platform. We have asked questions and Shawan is with us tonight. Captain Vipul Saxena is with us, former defense pilot and aeronautical engineer. Group Captain Augustine Vinod. He's been a former fighter pilot. Group Captain GP Bajpai, former flight safety consultant with Air India. Subhash Goyal, Chairman of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Aviation and Tourism Committee. Captain Amit Singh, former Boeing 777 and Airbus A320 aircraft pilot. We have with us Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastav, needs no introduction, and Sanjay Lazar, Air India veteran aviation expert. Now, viewers, let's put a few things in context. We got some information and we asked Air India to confirm the information. Right. Now, we asked them whether there were recurring snags in the VT-ANB operating AI-171 that crashed on June 12th. Now, we wanted to know how many snags were reported in this specific plane between May 2nd and June 6, 2025. We wanted line maintenance activity logs between May 13th and June 12, 2025. Right? And we asked whether it was true that this specific plane experienced issues related to the auto brake system on multiple occasions, specifically May 6th, May 13th, May 15th, and May 18th, 2025. We also asked whether there had been 1, 2, 3, or 29 separate snags between May 2nd and June 6, 2025 for the aircraft VT-ANB operating AI-171. Now, Air Vice Marshal P.K. Srivastav, 29 separate snags, big or small, right? In a period that is roughly about 1 month and 4 days. So if there are 29 snags, big or small, reported in, say, a 35-day period, it's not a small matter, is it? I'm just asking. You are the man who knows. Air Vice Marshal, is it a small matter? Would it be a small matter? 29 separate snags. Big or small?
Arnab, thanks for this debate.
Arnab, thanks for the debate because it's a very horrific incident and we need to look at all the dimensions. And let me tell you that aircraft being a system of systems where we talk about all kinds of systems, avionics, electronics, computers, hydraulics, engine, fuel system, engine, and that to this aircraft being completely digitally controlled, fly by wire.
No.
If 29 snacks, if they are categorized as some kind of, let me complete Arnav, some kind of minor snacks, because we have, if they are not engine related and they are not fuel system related, then we need to look at them at what snacks they were. And let me also inform the audience through you that all repeat snacks are taken with a different kind of scrutiny.
So what you're saying, one second, Vice Marshal, you're saying tonight that whether there are 1, 2, 15 or 29 is not a big deal. Air India says, and Shravan will tell us what Air India says. See, we are only asking a question here. Right, Shravan, we are not making an accusation. We want to know whether there were 29 chota-mota, big, small snacks. We're not pilots. We don't know whether this is big. But we did ask whether there was a nitrogen generation system issue reported on 3 specific dates. We did ask whether there were repeated issues flagged on the ICAS, which is Engineering Indicating Crew Alerting System on May 22nd, May 26th and June 1st. Now, is this a small thing? I don't know. You tell me. Is it a small thing? Group Captain Augustine Vinod, is it a small thing? Are these minor things?
Not, and as I can read from what you're saying, Arnab, you seem to be completely in a picture of the entire history. So with that as the background, I am taking this particular thought process forward, and I'm completely with Air Marshal where he is talking about the repeat snacks. Now, let me also add something to what Air Marshal said. See, in my opinion, even a small minor snack needs to be, it's like a headache. So the headache could be a small minor headache, or it could be a tumor in your head. So everything needs to be, especially in aviation, everything needs to be approached with that kind of seriousness firstly. And most importantly, something related, say, to an engine can lead to an engine trouble because...
No, I'm asking, I'm not saying they're related. See, my point here is, I'm not saying you're related. I just want to know, I'm not sure whether it is appropriate for Air India to say what they are saying. What are they saying, Shravan, in their reply to our very specific questions, to our email?
Well, in fact, our questionnaire was pertaining to certain data that we have basically obtained. This is about the aircraft itself and multiple technical snags that were reported during a specified period. And importantly, we have also put out details of the fact that the same aircraft had undergone line checks. Now, let me just explain what this line check that we're talking about. The aircraft takes a particular route. Once it reaches a destination, a line check is essentially done, and thereafter a technical snag, if at all it is reported, there is a replacement process to it. Now, what we asked was this, that is it true that there have been 29 technical snags that have been reported from this particular aircraft? Now, this is what they say. Air India says, and I'm quoting, the issues and details that are sought are related to an ongoing investigation, and hence Air India will not be able to make any specific comment or confirm any of the said data. It is relevant to mention that an aircraft undergoes multiple engineering checks before it is cleared for flight operations according to top priority to safety issues. Now, the question here is that in just 3 days, perhaps aviation experts can weigh in. 26th of May itself, there is one with regards to the auto brake. Within 2 days, similar sort of technical snag is reported. Another auto brake technical snag is reported. And there is a third. So there is a pattern of an auto brake technical snag that has been reported in just 3 days. I'm putting out the dates too. We are given to understand it's on the 6th of May, and then on 13th of May, and then on 18th of May. To which they say there have been rectifications that have been done, but the fact of the matter is there are multiple patterns that are basically emerging from this data, which Air India says that they are not going to comment because this is part of an investigation, ongoing investigation that is being done by BCAS.
So we are asking how many snags there were in a 35-day period, right? By the way, it's not 29 days, 35 snags, it's 35 days, 29 snags. And our question really, our top bite is how many snags. Now, we are told that it's a standard industry practice that engineering teams release aircraft for flying under the minimum equipment list that have different categories. MEL is a document from the manufacturer approved by the regulator, DGCA. In case of a particular aircraft, the applicable minimum equipment list has to be first presented to a pilot who is trained to understand the nature of the findings and decide whether they are comfortable to operate the aircraft. Okay. In a way, they are trying to answer our question, but they are not. All I want to know from Air India, if they say to us, your information is incorrect. There have not been any of these reports. Your report about 29, your question regarding 29 separate snags reported between May 2nd and June 2nd, 2025 for the aircraft VT A and B operating AI-171. If they say this question is based on false information, I will convey that. But they have not said that either now, Vipul. They are neither saying this nor that. They can tell us whether the questions are correct or incorrect based upon their information. They should say, if the information is incorrect, they should say there aren't these many snags. What they are saying is that any aircraft undergoes multiple engineering checks before it is cleared for flight operations according to top priority for safety issues. Modern aircraft, including the Boeing 787, have multiple levels of redundancies built in. Duplicated, triplicated systems, depending on the criticality of the component to ensure safe operations. This basically implies that a deficiency does not necessarily mean that an aircraft cannot fly or is not airworthy. I agree. But if there are 29 deficiencies which are found in 35 days, I asked someone tonight, the question is not whether, if there are 29 such cases in 35 days, does the picture change? Captain G.P. Bajpai, does the picture change then?
Good evening to you and to all my panelists. You are right, in a short span of time, such a large number of snags is not in a good taste. But simultaneously, the repeated snag on the auto braking system has got nothing to do with the other snag because it comes into operation during landing phase of the aircraft. And it's not necessary these snags are interlinked to each other. But what is more important, it talks about the culture which is existing over there. A snag which has been rectified should not reoccur in near future. Otherwise, it becomes a repeated snag. And then the role of the flight safety of the Air India and DGCA, when they go for their audit, they should go into details how the snag was rectified, how it got repeated in such a short span of time, and how the rectification process has taken place, whether all the laid down procedures, the maintenance manuals, the spares were used or not, and or the snag has been rectified.
No, the question is, one point, the question is, the pilots are saying, the Air India is saying that, listen, we may have 29 snags or 49 snags, does not matter. It does not mean that the plane specifically cannot fly. My question is different. My question is, Captain Amit Singh, you take my question. Is it not a matter of concern that on one, if, I don't know whether it's true that this is 171, if on any airline, 171 or any airline, if there are 29 snags which are found in about a month, is it a matter of some concern? Does it raise other issues?
Like the previous panelist said, it's a cultural issue, but let me classify it. The manufacturer gives a master MEL, which means there is always a balance between production and protection. You cannot have too much production because that will lead to an accident. Too much protection means loss of revenue. So safety, the job of safety is to balance it. That is why the aircraft can be released with certain number of snags, but not too many. And they are classified as per the safety risk assessment. So manufacturer gives a document, the master MEL, based on which the DGCA
No, that's all right. See, I'm a layman question here. Yeah. Amit, my layman question is that if today someone were to tell you this particular plane has had 29 snags, big, small, I don't know, it may be related to auto brake, maybe related to nitrogen generation system, maybe recurring issues with cargo temperature, bulk, of light. It may be related to stabilizer trim. It may be related to rudder trim. It may be related to engine indicating and crew alerting systems, right? And there are all these snags that are happening over a period. I'm not talking about this plane. I'm saying, let's take a hypothetical situation. This has happened, right? Should the management of the airline or someone not thinking, why is it happening? Isn't it too much? 29 cases in 35 days. This is not good. Is that not a right thing to ask commonsensically? And now
that is an obvious question.
Then why is it cultural means what? When you say cultural means what?
Means there is a tendency to continue acceptable, which means this is acceptable to the management.
Correct.
And,
that's the point. That means it's acceptable to the management. Now, Shravan and Harsha, what else is Air India saying to us?
Well,
Harsha
fact,
can tell us.
Well, in fact, Arnav, we spoke to about 6 pilots who have operated in Air India. And in fact, all of them, we've gone through each of these technical snags. And what they had to say is about the repeated problem, the repeated technical snags and the pattern that is emerging. Harsha, if you can just quickly tell us, one, the Air India's response with regards to the technical snag, and they are essentially resorting to the MEL aspect. MEL aspect is something that we were not even focusing on.
Yeah, they said that minimum equipment listing is something which aircraft can work on till the time it is not revoked. There's a timeline, and in that particular timeline on 9th and 10th of June, whatever the minimum equipment listing was there, aircraft could be flown. That was not a major issue. This they have responded to us. And as far as we spoke to pilot regarding the issues in the technical snag, he stated that the braking system is a big issue. It's a big thing. Aircraft can't...
repeated 3 times.
That's repeated 3 times. In fact, he said that the H2U open is also a huge thing. The aircraft can't work, aircraft can't operate with this particular snag. And also he went on by saying EICAS, which is the engine indicating crew alerting system. If EICAS is there and engine is indicating something, that means some immense fault is there in the aircraft and it has to be rectified.
The thing is, Shravan, bottom line is how many snags were reported and rectified. We're not saying the snags were not rectified. But what are we saying when we say, is there a cultural issue? Sanjay Lazar, I want you to come in on this. Say one plane, any plane, 29 snags in 35 days, big, small, right? But does it not establish a pattern somewhere? And the question then is, even if they are rectified, should the DGCA not have some system to check why there are so many snags in one aircraft over a period of time? Does that not raise some other issues? Or is the DGCA blind to this? Sanjay, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, okay. Yes, Arnav, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to just continue on what Captain Amit said. You know, the manufacturer comes out with an MEL list. Now, please hear me out on this.
Yeah.
It is universal. It is universal across the world. It is not something that only Air India does. MEL lists are followed by all airlines. Sometimes there are no parts, or sometimes they are minimal, smaller things. Now, that being said, the 29 in 35 days does not trouble me, especially since you said they are repetitive of a particular kind. I also do not know if some of them are CDLR snags, which are cabin defect snags, you know, oven or seat light or IFE not working or temperature controls not working. But the 3 that your correspondent mentioned, one was ICAS, which is a serious snag. The other was the HTO fan, and the third, I think, was the air brake. Now, from what I understand from what he mentioned, I think there were 3 of one type. It obviously shows that they were trying to repair it, and it was coming up over and over again. So it leads us to believe whether we need to look at whether the parts.
Okay, so if someone were to tell you, Sanjay, that the ICAS system, for example, I'm not saying this plane, any plane, right? Maybe this plane, Air India should tell us if there's an ICAS problem, which is flagged on 22nd May, 26th May, and June 1st, right? For one particular plane. That means there's an engine indicating and crew alerting system issue flagged on the 22nd of May, again after 4 days, and again after 5 days. What does that mean?
It means that obviously something, you know, they've obviously rectified and it's happened again.
So what does that tell you? No, they rectified, happen again. Rectified, happen again. Rectified, happen again. 3 times in 8 days. Yeah. What does that tell you?
It tells me that maybe they need to change the part or
no,
or
what
there was
the part
something,
change? One second here. Auto brake system, suppose, happens May 6th, again rectified, happens again May 13th, rectified, happens again May 15th, rectified, happen against May 18th. I'm not saying this is to do with a crash, but what does that tell you?
It just says that, this aircraft has had recurring problems on a particular type of part. That I see that.
So then I'm not, so point is, if that aircraft were to go and crash tomorrow, then would this history matter or not matter at all?
That is in the realm of investigation. I'm sure the investigators from both the NTSB as well as the DGCA, the AAIB will look at it very closely. If these were, these recurring issues existed in the plane that crashed, and if they're relevant to the
so
matter.
Does this raise questions about Air India's tolerance to?
Sure.
No, does this raise questions about Air India management's tolerance to these cultural issues? I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other airlines, but would you say in any other airline all aircraft would have 29 issues in 35 days or something like that?
I would not know because I've really not looked at too many other airlines, frankly.
But it's worrying here, with the confidence with which Air India now says, the confidence with which Air India now says that the recent surveillance conducted on Air India, DGCA, giving almost a clean sheet here, Mr. Goyal says, recent surveillance conducted on Air India's Boeing 787 fleet does not reveal any major safety concerns. All the aircraft associated maintenance system were found to be compliant with existing safety standards. It's like a clean sheet, isn't it? I mean, government has given Air India a clean sheet, this means.
Yes, it is.
Yeah?
Yes, it has. And I believe that the DGCA would not have taken such a step, Arnab, with the NTSB and the FAA watching over it. Remember, if anything is found in this accident that pertains to the aircraft itself, it will put the spotlight
I just hope a completely unrelated comment that no DGCA official has taken any favors from Air India ever, including excess baggage, including their internal Air India officers writing mails saying allow 12 kilos, 30 kilos, 40 kilos, 50 kilos for a minister.
I would not be able to comment.
No, I'm just saying I hope there's no conflict of interest there, right? Because that changes the picture.
But
DGCA, would you agree with me? Would you agree with me, Subhash, that DGCA should not have a conflict of interest? A senior DGCA official going through airport. I hope Air India doesn't say, oh, give him 12 kilos more. Give him 20 kilos more. I mean, I hope there is no such system. Yes, Subhash Goyal?
Yes, you're talking to me?
Yes, sir. What do you think?
Yeah. See, as far as the snags are concerned, I think it is a serious issue. And I'm sure, Arnab, I'm happy you're taking up this issue. But at the same time, as rightly mentioned, that not only DGCA, but the Boeing, General Electric, and also, I believe, some British aviation experts are in town, and they are all investigating this, because Air India is not the only airline having this. Having said that, one issue I want Arnab
so there's been a report in the Wall Street Journal. There's been a report in the Wall Street Journal, I don't know, which says that the emergency power generator was operating when this plane crashed. What does that mean? Does this raise questions about the engines? Can any of the pilots tell me what it means, if there is any truth in that? I'm not making an accusation again. I'm reporting what has been publicly reported. Air India, I don't know whether they have replied to that. Sir?
I think the pilot should respond.
Would any of the pilots like to respond to that, this report which has come out here? I don't know. Or will we say it's too early pending investigation? There is an article, it's been published in a global newspaper, that the emergency power generator was operating when it crashed. What would that mean? Amit ji, would you like to tell us?
Yeah, when the electrical generation has stopped, that is when the RAT deploys, or the hydraulic issue. It could be, the source could be either hydraulic failure, electrical failure, or engine failure.
So big issue.
Ultimately, that is the last backup which the aircraft has in terms of
Shravan and Harsha, is there any response from Air India to that report which came earlier today? Has Air India responded to any of those reports that came out in WSJ?
Well, in fact, there is no public statement that has been made by Air India. Just a quick question to you, Harsha, with regards to the report that has come in from Wall Street Journal, the fact that they have essentially indicated towards an engine failure. Is there any response coming in?
No response from DGC or no response from Air India as of now. We have been asking response from Air India. We have mailed them twice or thrice since the crash happened, but no response. They are not ready to respond on the prelim report as well. AIB has also not responded on a prelim report.
Okay, Shravan, so,
there are clear indications of engine failure. If you look at the debris of the engine, I can see in one of the photographs, the debris of the engine in which the blades, the turbine blades are intact. So if an engine is moving at high thrust and it meets with an accident, due to the impact, the blades are shredded or they curl in a S shape. These blades are intact, straight, which means the engine was not running at the time of impact. That is very clear from one of the photographs of the engine. I cannot see the other engine clearly. So for sure, one was at idle or was shut down. So
I would also make one request. I would make a request. I hope it's, you see, some people, we have some papers which suggest that Civil Aviation Ministry officials have sought help with some special treatment, including baggage waivers, flight rescheduling, fee exemptions to senior DGC officers and even family members, relations of the Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation. I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true. We've sent a letter, we've sent a questionnaire. But if this is happening, should it not stop? Should key DGC officers get different levels of assistance with Air India? Should Honorable Minister for Civil Aviation get any waivers from Air India? Should there be any such facilitation is a question I would like to ask. Because I want no conflict of interest between DGCA, Ministry of Civil Aviation and Air India. I'm not sure that there is a complete sort of a wall between the two. One is a regulator and the other is an airline. I'm only asking a question. The question is, Shravan, and the question is, has at any point of time, any point of time been there any sort of over keenness to help with extra baggage, facilitation, flight rescheduling, etc. by Air India or any airline towards people from the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the DGCA?
Well, in fact, out of multiple instances of how a long rope has been given to Air India by DGCA. One, there is an investigation report that has been prepared, which is a spot check that was done by the DGCA of multiple aircrafts being operated by Air India, in which Campbell Wilson has been named as an alleged offender. Correct. In that particular report, they clearly say that emergency equipments were not present when the spot checks were done. Interestingly, a 15-day time is actually given to Air India to respond to those. The fact of the matter is that this is not to do with only one type of aircraft, multiple aircrafts, the fleets that have been operated. In fact, Harsha, just a quick response on that particular report that was been prepared, and multiple such show cause notices have actually gone from DGCA.
Almost in 2 months, 15 show cause notices issued by DGCA to Air India. None of the show cause notices have been adhered by Air India. They didn't ground their...
What was the response coming in from DGCA? Did they follow up?
No, DGCA also didn't follow up. They just sent the show cause notice and they were also sleeping that Air India will respond in some time. They didn't follow up. They didn't pull up Air India even after the crash.
So here comes the big question. Why exactly is DGCA giving that long rope to Air India? Is there some sort of an understanding? See, what is it?
The thing is, Shravan, it's like Campbell Wilson's statement. When you ask him, Mr. Wilson, your airline was a frightful mess. You don't know how to run an airline. We have letters to show that you have been named as the guilty party by DGCA in letters and show cause notices as recently as the 6th of June. In his ridiculous highbrow style, he tries to say these matters have nothing to do with the crash. Well, in a way they don't, but in a way they do. Because the fact of the matter is that you got a long rope. Serious issues, emergency system not working on planes, all documented, Campbell Wilson, guilty party, 15 days to respond. In the interim of the 15 days, an Air India plane crashes. Campbell Wilson and Air India say, well, question you're asking has nothing to do with the crash. But then the question we're asking is about the cultural system operating within Air India, how this airline runs. And they're trying to go hyper-technical on us. If I open the phone lines right now, Air India will realize how people think. And there is a cultural system, and the Tata Group must answer to it. Yes, Vipul has been quiet for a while. Vipul.
So Arnab, I would need some time to cover up a couple of points which I've been desperately waiting to share. One is that MEL is totally different thing, and it is a legal thing allowed by the manufacturer, and it does not compromise the safety of the aircraft, or I would say operationality of the aircraft. Coming to snags, there is no snag which is small. Every snag which is coming on record has to be rectified. Now, there are two type of things. One is quick fix rectification, and other is root cause analysis. Okay, ideally, as per the best practices, every snag or every defect which is coming on record, there should be root cause analysis should be done. And I think that culture does not exist in Air India. That is why systems like auto brake and auto system repeated, or ICAS, repeated snags are coming on record. So it shows that the cultural issues. Next thing I would like to cover is that in the last discussion, I had raised one issue about culture. I was coming to culture only. That when you pick and choose, because all these things, culture comes from the top management. If the top management people are ethical, they don't compromise with the system and process. Culture will set in the organization the way leader sets in. And the pick and choose, yes, a private company can pick up anybody for the role. But they pick up people who are manipulators, who conceal things, who circumvent the laws and the SOPs. I think that's dangerous. And that is what is happening in most of the airline operations. That is why you never find a chief of engineering vacancy coming in the market, chief of flight safety coming in the market, quality control manager coming in the market. And
no, Vipul, my question is today, what is my question? Viewers, you tell me if my question is correct. I am asking tonight, Vipul, that in the plane that crashed, of the visuals that you see, and this is the question media in this country should ask, media should not sit there and do these ridiculous PR interviews. Media should ask, in this plane that crashed, how many snags were there in the last 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months? Media should also do that job to find out. Then Air India can say, okay, there were these many, but we still felt the plane would not have crashed. It was not in any danger. But Air India is saying that just because there were deficiencies does not mean the plane can't fly. Of course. But then the question I am asking is, layman question, 29 deficiencies? Isn't it a bit too much? 29 times, even if they are repeat?
Something different. No. Deficiency means MEL is something.
I want any pilot to come and tell me no big deal. I want disclosure. I don't want them to tell me ongoing investigation can't comment. My question I'm asking and the answer you can give me on that, in my view, Amit, has nothing to do with the ongoing investigation. Your ongoing investigation is on the circumstances of the crash. In fact, Air India is contradicting itself. It is saying the questions you are asking or the snags reported and rectified have nothing to do with the crash. In that case, you must answer my question rather than use the ongoing investigation route to avoid a specific reply to my very specific question. Whatever they say, Amit, if they say all of this information is